Well, hello, it's me, Caleb, your co-host, and this is the E&M DANKCAST. And yeah, I'm here with a very special guest. If you couldn't tell by the setting, I'm here with the one and only Pastor David.
Woo!
Yeah!
I'm excited to hang out with Mr. Caleb.
Thank you.
And you all. You guys are awesome. Thanks for watching this. I personally have been watching the last couple at home and pretty much right before bed, and has been a very enjoyable experience. So thank you for doing this so far. I've really liked it. Yeah. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. Of course, he's the author of one of the best ebooks I've ever read.
That is a compliment.
Read.
Well, praise the Lord, man. That is a compliment.
Dank Money. Yes. And it's your first ebook, too.
It is
but more on that later. As you guys notice, we are not in the car, and this is a very momentous occasion.
Can you imagine if this was a car, though? This would be the sickest car. Like, amazing.
With the lights and... yeah.
And bookshelves.
The bookshelves.
And a couch.
We're very smart, very intellectual, implied by the setting. Yeah. Then you got, like, the little lights back there, too.
Yeah, I got some lights.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, but we are at Woodbridge Community Church. Very nice church.
We are.
Maybe a little biased. But it is a good church. Yeah, but it's just a good opportunity to be interviewing and just having a good conversation with multiple people. Like last time we had Harrison on, and...
I like Harrison. I like that guy. I like that Colin guy, too.
Yeah, he's all right. What's he going back on? I think he'll be on soon. I hope. He was supposed to be here today though, but things occurred, and I mean it happens, you know.
We all need a little bit of R&R for our bodies, you know. So It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah. Well, this has been a great episode.
I'm cool for done. It's just hilarious. It's hilarious.
Yeah, but yeah, the way I usually listen to like podcasts in general, usually I'm doing something like exercising, or maybe I'm just in bed, you know? I'm just like, what am I gonna do? Oh, listen to a podcast.
Yeah. And
if you are listening to this one, which you are, then you have made a wise decision.
Very wise.
Very wise. And hopefully the audio is a little better too. If not, then oh well. But
we did do a test, and I mean Kayla's voice does sound better than mine.
Hey yo.
But that's in general anyway.
Hey, you have more practice. You have more practice. Yeah. But we're filming not with my phone, but
Yes. So we will see how the quality turns out. I did enjoy the car experience. I felt like I was in the car with you guys.
Yeah. Ooh.
The office is a little more formal, you know, because it's a little intimidating because I have a bunch of books behind me. And to be honest, guys, I know it looks smarter than I actually am because a lot of those books were just given to me by people that didn't have need of them anymore. Yeah. So there's so many books behind me that I haven't read. I've definitely, you know, at times flipped through a number of them. But in terms of completing the library behind me, it looks a lot more impressive than in reality. So don't be too intimidated. We still want to keep it casual. So here we go.
Yeah, for me, speaking of which, I haven't really been reading too many books besides like school text and Dank Money. Link in the description this time. Last time, like, it took a couple days.
It's all good.
Oh, I haven't put it in the description. But
it's all good.
Yeah, I think in our society, everything is just really fast-paced, especially with TikTok and YouTube. Just the content is more targeted for people with short attention spans. I feel like, like over time, we've just been leaning towards that faster entertainment,
right?
Which is why some people don't like podcasts because it's pretty long, and that goes for like books too. They don't like reading the long books, and
right.
I just think school for me, because I used to read a lot, especially during the summer, but yeah, once I got into high school, I kind of associated it with school.
Yeah, same. I personally, like you, I think, Caleb, I used to read a lot. Like, man, I would read, I don't know if these books are familiar to you guys, but there are these books called Redwall. It used to be like rodents like fighting each other. Did you hear that?
No.
Okay, it's pretty cool. But it's like the Redwall series. So it's like badgers and mice and rats and otters. It's just like I don't know what. I think Brian Jock or something was the author. He had some obsession with rodents, and he just created like all these books about animals fighting each other. It was the coolest like thing ever, and the books were huge too. But I remember reading them a lot, and I used to read a lot of Michael Crichton too, who did Jurassic Park and Sphere and some other books like that eventually became movies. But yeah, I used to love reading. I could sit in my room and read books all the time, and honestly, like school killed it for me. Like it turned what I love to do into something that I was forced to do, and especially like stuff that I didn't want to read at the time. I mean, I'm sure now if I read like Lord of the Flies or read Great Gatsby or read Crime and Punishment now, you know, I'd have significantly greater appreciation for those books because there is a lot of depth to some of those ideas. I mean, you could really take a lot of those things philosophically pretty far. But yeah, for me at the time, just didn't have much interest in those things. And I mean, maybe a couple times things seemed appealing. Like to me, 1984 was like, oh, that is interesting. I didn't think about, you know, governments it being oppressive in that nature in a futuristic way. So, you know, sometimes you get a gem, you know, something, you know, that gets your brain thinking differently, and that seems intriguing. But yeah, man, for me, like school killed my desire to read, especially like textbooks that I just, oh man. So anyway, I feel, and so I think that was my challenge, definitely writing the ebook, because I was like, I know generally speaking for your guys' generation, you know, it's usually on the phone for video use and YouTube and Instagram Reels or whatever. I mean, don't get me wrong, like I'm on YouTube every day, and you know, I'm flipping through Instagram Reels too because they're hilarious. And you know, it's fun, it's enjoyable, and it's you know, nothing wrong, you know, in a way with enjoying leisure like that. But yeah, I think to me, what I wanted to articulate, I felt like it had to be written, and the reason why is because I wanted to be as clear and articulate as possible in a way that that could be understood. I think what's hard is, yeah, just the medium of writing is a challenge because of our, you know, limited attention span, right? But you know, what's interesting is like I've talked to Caleb and some other people who read it already, and they're like, yeah, I actually read it like in an hour, and I was really shocked by that. Because I was like, because I've had other people give me like a book to read. It, like maybe it was Christian content, and dude, it would take me a really long time to read through it. Sometimes it took me like 2 years to read this one book. I just like it was just so hard for me to read through it, you know. But I was just like, wow, that's super cool. I'm so glad like some people read it and they said they got through it quick. And yeah, that was kind of my hope, is like I didn't want it to be a burden, like, oh yeah, here's your homework or whatever. Like, no, like that's not my intention. But it's more of like, how can I articulate something, and hopefully, like, you know, I hope the language like kind of fit the audience. You know what I mean? Like, you know, some of the, I have a strange sense of humor, just kind of like my word choice or like dry humor kind of stuff, and so I try to incorporate that, I guess. But yeah, it's one of those things where it was like I wanted to have a medium that articulated something very specific, but like I still want to make more video content. I still want to, you know, maybe one day have an audiobook. But I think it is very good to read, though, like with your own eyes, like to read text. Apparently, it's very good for your brain. It's very good for learning, if you can develop the discipline of that. And obviously, you can only do that for so long, right? But hopefully, if it's something you feel like you're not obligated to read, like homework, then it can be something you can enjoy a lot easier. Yeah, because honestly, I mean, even take like this stack of books here, right? So I got like a stack of books like right over here. So here's like 1, 2, 3. It's like 5 of them. dude, it's taking me so long because for different reasons I feel obligated to read them, and yeah, once I feel that sense of like, oh yeah, this feels like homework, then I just like don't want to do it, you know. So yeah, so I just encourage you guys to read and to enjoy reading. I know like school can kill that, but I think there is a way to regain that sense of enjoyment from reading. Yeah.
Yeah, because like for me, of course I wanted to support you by reading it, but I feel like a tiny part of me was like, okay, I gotta read it for the sake of reading it.
Oh, okay.
But like for the most part, I was like, okay, this is about money. And in the past, I haven't made too many wise financial decisions. So I'm like, okay.
Same here.
Yeah. So,
What was one thing that you can think back to where it was like, huh, I don't know why I bought that, but I did buy it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Multiple examples, but prominent one would be when I bought multiple hoodies, like designer hoodies from StockX, and I thought they would appreciate just a little bit. These hoodies were the Kanye hoodies.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so I just bought them. Spent like if I'm being honest, like $450 for three of them. For three of them, and like right now, like I have some of them just in my house, just sitting there.
Yeah,
and I'm like, oh, maybe there was a better way for me to spend this because I don't necessarily need to have things now, and there are better things to invest in.
Yeah, I think there are some ways to approach purchases like you said, you mentioned the word appreciation. Like there is a sense in which you could buy something of that nature, you can enjoy it, and then you could still sell it at the same price later or even maybe for higher. So actually maybe it could be a really good purchase even though it was something that's maybe more designer or expensive hoodie. I mean, like I'll give you an example. Like I bought a Nintendo DS right in the past, and then I played it. I don't even know how long I had that thing. I had it like, I don't know, maybe 5 years or something like that, right? And then there was like demand for it, and then I sold it, and then got it for the same price that I bought it at, like brand new.
Yes, sir.
I used it to death. And so, again, like, God gives us things for our enjoyment. There is such a thing as overindulging for sure. But it's kind of hilarious because I got my money back in a sense, so that was kind of funny. But yeah, I think for me, I mean, I mentioned the book, like, I make some really bad purchases. I think there were just things I thought were cool and I would buy them. So like, I remember buying this like, oh gosh, yeah. So I bought this lighter, right? And it was cool because it had like a clover on it. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Like it's, kind of like St. Patrick's Day or Irish or whatever. So I buy this thing, right? And I don't know how Zippo lighters work, but apparently they don't come with fuel. Like, so you buy the thing, right? And then you have to buy the fuel for it. And you have to know how to actually put the fuel in it properly in order to make the lighter work, right? And so what happened was I think I bought it and I kept like spinning this thing and ruining the flint, or I don't know, is it the flint? Yeah. And then so I basically was like ruining this thing because I didn't know how to work it. And then I bought like the lighter fluid to put it in, but I think I must have not put it in right or something, or I just put it in wrong, right? And so I had like this lighter fluid. I ruined the lighter. And I was just like, what a joke, but relative in price, that was actually pretty minor. But that, to me, it was like a complete waste because I didn't even use it, But there's another, I mentioned in the book too, just like so my friend was like really into like some workout program, and it was like how to improve your jumping ability in order to dunk a basketball, right? Now, in retrospect, you could totally Google that, I'm sure, and like find a leg workout program or something. But I don't know. There's just something about it. It's like, yeah, man, I want to dunk a basketball. Like, is that possible? And so yeah, I like bought this program, and I honestly I definitely did get my money's worth because I didn't even really go through the program like to the T. It's like you got to like go day by day, for this many weeks, and it programs all these exercises. And I just wasn't consistent enough to make my money's worth. And then I'm pretty sure I only dunked the basketball like once, but it was barely though. I mean, it basically almost didn't even count, So it was like, okay, yeah, I had a nice leg workout, but I could have just not spent $60 on that program, you know. But then again, like I think it's okay too to not, because I think sometimes it's so easy to beat ourselves up about like a sense of perfectionism, like, oh crap, why did I do that? Now I'm gonna kick myself, right? Just because I feel guilty about a bad purchase, or maybe at a time, maybe at the time it wasn't maybe a wise purchase or whatever. But I do think honestly, like God gives us so much like room for growth and opportunity to learn. He gives us so much grace, and like He understands that learning how to become wise with money is a process. Like I don't know anyone that immediately knew how to use money like the day they got their first like paycheck from work or something, right? Like I don't know anyone who just like knew how to use it. Usually like, someone tells them how to do it or whatever. I think for me, like, and I'm sure this is the case with you, with your dad, because you have a great dad. My dad was like, very, very like, on top of like teaching me how to use money. And so like that saved me from a lot of anguish before. I remember like even in college, I heard of a friend of mine. She was like, I'm so excited to get my paycheck because now I can pay off my credit card. And I was like, wait, what? Like, what? What are you doing? It's like, but it's because like my dad conditioned me and he didn't give me a credit card, or at least like in a sense allow me to have a credit card until later, So kind of I was trained on the debit card for a long time. So it's kind of the training of like spend only what you have, and that sort of incentivizes you to spend your money well, right? But I remember just hearing that like from her at the time in college, and just like why would you do that? It's like why would you use your credit card and then you're just hoping, like, what if you get fired? Then you have like, I don't have much credit card debt, that, now you can't pay. But it was just like, I at the same time was like grateful that, like I had a mentor in a sense who could teach me how to use money in a way that didn't put me in a really bad position early. Like, I did have a mentor in the past too, who did tell me like when he was in college, he basically had no idea what he was doing with like credit card. He also like didn't grow up with a dad, and so maybe that maybe was a factor in his mentoring. But basically just like used his credit card and didn't know what he was doing. Basically, he said, and basically until let's say maybe even until his 30s, maybe 40s, I think was like still trying to pay off his credit card debt, or like work with the lenders. Over like years and years, right? So the idea of the book is like, what I wanted to do is just like equip you guys, like your generation, teens and 20s, for like what is the approach to money, that God wants us to have, that is best for us to have. Because money's such an interesting thing. It's like it's very unique. It's so powerful, but it's also like potentially so dangerous. Like it can do so much good and enormous amount of harm. Like, this is just something that's mentioned recently. I don't know if you've heard lately about like the crypto crash a little bit. Like crypto goes through like these ups and downs, just kind of like any market, right? Like the stock market. But lately what happened was Terra Luna, which is like a crypto, used to be in the top 10, right? And I think it was probably at $113 this weekend, and then within like 3 days, it basically went to zero. Like people were freaking out because they're like, why is this happening? Kind of like why is this going to zero? It shouldn't be that bad, like because they're comparing with other currencies like Bitcoin or whatever, and it's crashing in a sense, but not to zero, right? And so what's crazy is like so many billions of dollars were put into Luna, but it just all evaporated. Like it's all gone, And I don't know how it works. There's some coin that's supposed to be equivalent to the dollar, so they call it a stable coin. It's kind of a way to put your money in so that it retains its value until you want to dump it into another coin, if you will. But what's crazy is like I think the stable coin associated with Luna was going at like 90 cents to the dollar, and then it was down to like 20 some cents to the dollar. So it's basically like your money's completely worthless, and then eventually Luna goes to like 0.000 something, right? It's not even a full penny, right?
Yeah.
When it used to be $113 like at like 3 days ago, And so I'm just like, oh my gosh, like how devastating like that crypto or whatever money, right, can just be so devastating to people, right? So that was my heart for you guys, is like I want you guys to not have to experience like things that I went through, and to be able to not be afraid of like the use of money, because I think sometimes you hear stories like that and you're like, oh well, I'm afraid of using my money because I don't want to ruin my life, or whatever. And my whole point of it was like I just wanted to equip you guys for a biblical approach to money, that has really helped me, and I really believe like just on the verses I use and just some of the stories I use, I hope that they can provide you a sense of comfort and relief going forward, so that you feel confident in the use of money. And the other thing too is like, you'll read the book and then you'll be like, oh, like I would like to learn more. And to be honest, like I could have written a lot more for it, but I think the best approach too is just to, like find people that manage money well and just like learn from them. I have friends that manage money well. I talk to older people that manage money well, and I get coaching from them. I even learn things from younger people about money that I don't know about. And as long as you have that posture, and you're pursuing the Lord as your number one priority, like money's not going to be an issue for you. I know sometimes it can be daunting. Like, I guess Caleb, like as a young person, because you're kind of on that cusp age of like, the teens and the 20s sort of thing. But like as a young person, like what's an expense that is potentially very fearful for people your age? Like, or I don't know, like some large amount of money you got to put into that maybe seems concerning to drop that amount of money into. Like, is there something that, I don't know?
I think just like day-to-day expenses,
Day-to-day.
whether it be tuition,
Mm-hmm.
food, maybe if you're a little older, rent,
Right.
you're just paying for
Mm-hmm.
everything, just learning how to be an adult in general.
Right.
I feel like for many that's a really rude awakening,
Mm-hmm.
if you will.
Yeah. Because I think what's hard is, on the day-to-day expenses, like you can definitely manage this. I think what's hard is like, how do you do the day-to-day expenses when you have this looming amount of debt on your shoulders, right? So like, sometimes people are in different situations, right, with regards to debt. So like, maybe some people get a large amount of financial assistance paying for school, and so that can be helpful. Like for instance, for me, like my dad was just really good with money. Like my dad's like just kind of honestly a genius when it comes to managing money. And so so I had like, I don't even know how much help. It was a crazy amount of monetary help from my family to get me through like college and master's program. But so some people are in different situations, but at the same time, like even though I did have significant financial help, from my parents to get me through schooling, there were still like really bad financial times that I went through. Like even right after seminary, like I was working like 5 part-time jobs just to like make things work, because it wasn't really working in terms of me being able to have more than a part-time role at a church, if you will. And so that was a major factor in me just kind of scrambling, just to find odd jobs like tutoring geometry and doing SAT tutoring and all kinds of or like before and after school sort of daycare for kids, and just trying to piece together all these like part-time jobs. And I was just like, this is so frustrating to try to make this work, even though like I had so much like financial benefit to get me through school. but then it almost like doesn't matter. It's like you can get a lot of financial help, but then I feel like every person, no matter like whether they were financially blessed to get through school or they, were financially blessed with like a car or I don't know, whatever, it's kind of like at some point, like every person just goes through some sort of financial trouble. It's kind of weird. It's like everyone I've talked to, it doesn't matter like what their background is. You know, everyone for some reason goes through some sort of financial thing. I listened to this other podcast, speaking of podcasts, but it was through some church leaders through Converge, which is the denomination our church is a part of. And, so crazy is like, so like one of the guys was a realtor, right? And he was starting a church. So he's bivocational, but then he was being sued behind the scenes for like $2 million or whatever. And so it's like, what do you do about that? Like, it seems like you had things good, and then all of a sudden you're getting sued for $2 million out of nowhere. And then the other guy he was talking to, he started having really bad medical expenses because he had some rare disease or something, and something that prevented him from being able to walk. And so basically just drained his bank account until he had, I think, less than $1,000. And it's like, it's so crazy how, you could seemingly have everything kind of made, and then things can just like totally get crazy, and it's, I think for every person, like there's going to be some sort of financial difficulty, maybe not now, but maybe later in some way. And every trial may look different. Right. So, I just had a burden just to compile like what we did for our sermon series into a book form. I mean, I added a few things just to make it more readable, but that was kind of the background for that.
Yeah, and it was interesting because as I was reading it, I'm like, wow, he really is doing a good job catering to his audience, which is us. And like the jokes were very methodical, and I really like the diction. You're like the Mr. Beast. That was funny. If you haven't read it, link in the description once again, like, for sure.
Yeah, there are a couple things I was like, because I really, I really enjoy your generation, and what I mean by that is like, just like the things you guys are entertained by, like the things that make you laugh, the things that like really move you are things that I find fascinating, and so that's why I was like, man, I just like, I want to find stuff that I know that people probably already watch, like, so for instance, like the Mr. Beast video. By the way, like that video, if you haven't seen it, I mean, you saw it, right?
Yeah.
That video was incredible. Like, I have no idea how they accomplished that, but just the fact that they like recreated Squid Game basically with like all the props, and it was just, it was insane. So anyway, I was like, that's got to be in there because you guys, you guys will understand the reference, And so I also learned from a teacher too to like try to create tension through it, so that it, so it's kind of like I'm hinting at the fact that it's like Squid Game by Mr. Beast, but I kind of drop some hints and like, can you figure it out? Or like something about Blackpink is in there too, So, so anyway. Who knows? Maybe it only really fits like for you guys in, like kind of the OC area. Because, I can tell you probably in some other states, they're not going to know what boba is. But at least you guys will know what boba is.
You're like, boba? It's bubble tea in our area.
Bubble tea.
Bubble tea.
Yeah. Or I don't know what else they could call it. But so anyway, no, I appreciate them. And I think that was what was hard for me, is like, how do I really communicate to your demographic in a language that you can read and digest, but then it's like also hard because I'm also writing in the context like that parents could be reading it with students, or maybe even just mentors, like maybe they're like 5-10 years older than like Caleb or whoever, right? And it's like, can they understand what I'm trying to communicate? So I use Gen Z slang, but then I use like parentheses. So it was fun. Honestly, it was fun to try to, do that. But the advantage is that I'm around you guys so frequently, and I also like preach to you guys on the regular. So it actually felt kind of natural just to write that. So I appreciate Caleb, just your support and the fact that you read it. And yeah, I it's funny because I talked to Lucas Graham, actually.
Oh, nice.
And he had a great suggestion because I was talking about it. I was like, I want to maybe create content for you guys to read, but like, what is his thoughts? And he's like, yeah, keep it shorter. Like, don't make a huge book. Keep it shorter and make it free. And I was like, that's brilliant, because it's like, yeah, you guys don't need a bunch of fluff. Kind of like TV shows or whatever. It's like you can tell when they're the filler episodes, right? It's like, I don't need the filler episodes. Give me the good stuff, right? Or at least the the concise stuff. And so that's what I try to do, is just like boil down. Okay, here are the Bible verses, the good stuff that matter, and read it, and I'm gonna try to interpret it. But yeah, just the fact that it's free too, because I was like, because honestly, I don't want to pay for stuff either, right? Okay, to be honest, like, there are people like who's someone that you really like on the internet, like that's I don't know, like an influencer or something.
Me. Just kidding.
Mashed potato.
Mashed potato.
Mashed
Yes,
potato.
sir. Yeah.
Mashed potato.
But me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I like mashed potato too. You guys should totally subscribe to his content. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I did not know that mashed potato was not your idea. Or like, it was Harrison's.
It was Harrison.
That is hilarious. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he got access to my account,
Mm-hmm.
and then changed the username.
It's really catchy though. Like, I honestly, I don't think I'm ever gonna forget it. I'm gonna be like, I think Alzheimer's and being senile like runs in my family. Gonna on my deathbed, I think I'm gonna remember mashed potato.
Mashed potato?
Yeah. Show me this video before I die. That's gonna be me with my brain deteriorated into mush, which will probably happen because that is a factor in my family. So anyway, yeah, mashed potato. Yeah. I think for me, like, yeah, there are a couple people that I would really probably like to support, like on Patreon, like YouTubers that are like, oh yeah, support my Patreon or whatever. I'll be completely honest, like, even though I really love their content and I will follow pretty much anything that they post, I just don't donate. And I'm just cheap like that, and maybe I need to pray about it more, and I can pray to donate more. But honestly, like, that's what I was thinking, is like, okay, because I don't need money, right? And so it's like, okay, I don't need to make money on this. I just keep it free. And the other thing too is, like, if I ask for money, then it's like, then you get mixed sense of, like, what is this guy's motives, right? And so that's why I had difficulty too. Like, I might even take down the support page, because originally when I wrote the support page, the idea was that I spend money on a few things. It's not actually very expensive to, like, have a website and have graphic design and things like that, in a way. But I was like, okay, well, if I'm using my money, then if people can support it, then I don't need to use my money. But I was like, you know what? Maybe I should just take it down, because I also don't really want people to think like I don't, because one could see like, okay, so wait, so do you, like, what is this about? Is this about, like, you trying to get money, or you, like, So anyway, I want to provide free content. I don't care if you donate nothing or something. Like, I don't think about that. It's just, I want you to read it, like, if you can read it. It was also at a really bad time too, because I know, like, it's the end of the year.
Yeah.
And finals are happening. But yeah, but like during the summer, if you are able to take a look, that'd be cool. But yeah, I want to write some more just based on the series that we've been doing. So we're on, like, Success is, like, the series we're on. And yeah, I just have such a burden for you guys too, because like, the OC, in my opinion, like, Orange County, the idol of Orange County is Success. I could probably articulate that in many different ways, but yeah, I think you guys are under enormous amount of pressure to succeed, not just academically, but just, like, later with a job, maybe, like, with dating, or succeed with friends, or succeed with, I mean, there's so many, like, metrics, or, like, social media success, or whatever it is, right? And I just think that's an enormous burden that I've had to carry, which was self-imposed, but I didn't need to live with that. I didn't need to live with that huge weight of having to be successful. So I think there are a couple of topics like that where I just feel a great burden for you guys, because I know how that feels, like being in your shoes, because I grew up in a town. So Manhattan Beach is like southwest of LA, and it's very affluent. It was actually probably a lot more middle class like a while ago, but a lot of like wealthy people and celebrities like moved there, like the owner of Skechers or actors or whoever, right? And so the area has become very affluent, but I did grow up in an area that was very similar to Irvine in terms of its mentality and its priorities. The way people would just like view each other based on like your success and stuff. And so, yeah, I just know how suffocating it was as a teenager and in my 20s. And so, yeah, I just want to like give you something so that you don't have to go through what I went through, because you don't have to. You don't have to experience that enormous weight of money and pressure and success and dating and self-image and I don't know, just so many stuff, so much stuff, right? So yeah, that's just kind of where I'm coming from with that.
That's cool. It's cool how you already have plans to make even more bucks, like Dank Success, but I guess a question I've been meaning to ask is, it's very generic, but how do you find inspiration when you're writing? Because like I know for me, when I'm doing schoolwork, I'm like, okay, what do I write about? And I just don't know sometimes.
Yeah, no, wow, what a great question. I'll be honest, like sometimes I feel super inspired, and other times I don't. Yeah, in terms of like the writing of this, I mean, fortunately, it was the case that it coincided with stuff we were already doing with youth groups. It was kind of just me like stitching together like the sermon content that we've been doing and just put it in a format of a book. So if you want to think about it like this, it's kind of silly, but like, so you could argue that the book is like 5 sermons kind of spliced together. And basically like the intro would be like the intro of 5 sermons. And then the middle, or like the middle parts are like, the middle parts of 5 sermons, if you will. And so, so I think the inspiration, I did certainly add some things that required some inspiration. But honestly, I get huge writer's block. Like sometimes I'm just not inspired at all. Like even today, I was like, yeah, I'm going to spend a little bit of time writing some thoughts down for Dank Success. And I think I got like 3 sentences done earlier or something, or I don't know. Yeah, some of the things definitely like, I wanted to go through personally, like some other things like emails or, whatever. But yeah, sometimes you just have it or you don't. I mean, see, even still, like so this morning, right? So like I spent time praying, spent time reading the Bible, and yeah, just still didn't have a whole lot of inspiration to write a lot of stuff. And then I had more inspiration maybe to do some other things, like maybe looking at an article or whatever it was, right? So yeah, I think for each one of us, like there are going to be those moments of feeling very inspired and other moments that aren't, and that's okay. That's normal. Sometimes you can't just like, especially because I think you're sort of a creative in terms of your mindset, and I think I am too. Like I'm, it's sort of like an artist, if you will. Like, sometimes with art, like you can't just force art or creativity. And sometimes too it can happen sporadically. Like I don't know about you, but like sometimes I listen to like music or I watch a movie or something, and I'm like, oh dude, I'm so amped now to like do X, Y, or Z, right? So sometimes that can happen. And the other thing too is like I can spend time with God, but that may not necessarily correlate to me being really inspired to do something in particular. Like I don't know what it may be for you, Caleb, but like maybe it's make a video or make a short film or something like that, right? But yeah, I would say like it's okay if you don't always feel inspired, because sometimes, for instance, like I'll feel really inspired, right? And maybe I'll just crank out like a bunch of stuff, like I mean, just even take like an ebook, right? like I could compile maybe like 10 pages together and just like I'm on it, you know, I'm feeling it, right? But that doesn't always happen, you know. And I don't know about you guys or even Caleb, but I'm definitely, as much as I don't want to admit it, I'm definitely a feeler type. You know, some folks are a lot more rational, a lot more thinking oriented, and I don't know, maybe it's probably easier to write if you're like that. But because I'm a big feeler, as much as I maybe don't want to be that way, I do write, or it's not even just writing. Like it's more than that. It's like my work or whatever. It could be a lot more feeling oriented, right? And that's okay if like you're just wired a certain way, because maybe you're wired more feeling, or maybe you're wired more rationally. What do you think you are?
I don't even know. Maybe a little bit of each at times. I think it just depends.
Right. Yeah, and you know, I'm sure there's, you know, combination of both for so many people as well. Yeah, it's kind of like maybe I'm more of a feeler, maybe I'm both, ambi, or I don't know how you want to say it, and then more rational in terms of my my inspiration, if you will. So yeah, I think for me, like, I don't know. This is just me individually, and it may be for maybe a third or half of you listening. But yeah, if you're kind of like feeling oriented in a way, like, you know, God made feelings, right? And so, you know, obviously with our sin, like our sin can sort of warp those feelings in a way. But yeah, I mean, so many things too can be like totally from God, and God can totally use like the emotions to sort of fuel the will, if you will. Yeah, so for me, like sometimes, how do I say it? Like, okay, so like the I don't know if you remember the last section. The last section was like very practical advice for young people regarding, say, money. So for me, like, I that was probably the most inspired part of the book for me to write, because I was really like, I almost felt like I was telling my younger self like what to do. And I felt so inspired. I was like, man, I wish I could just tell myself this 15 years ago or something, right? But I think that to me was the most energized part, and it was so easy to write that section because I wanted to communicate that so passionately to you. And so for me, that was an easy section because it just sort of came, through the writing, to communicate what I was really passionate about, right? And so, inspiration is a very challenging thing. Yeah, I guess let me put it this way: it's hard to put a formula with inspiration. Yeah. Let me give you an example, or let me make a point. So like, like your one video, you guys talked about, right? Like the oh gosh, what it was, like the drinks video on your Passion Potato site. Like like I don't know what it was. It was just kind of, there's something about that video where I can understand like why it had so many views. It was just like the packaging of it, like the thumbnail, it was just like everything,
Yes.
And it was like also really good timing too, because people are wondering, like, how good is that drink, right? Or those 4 drinks or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And so it was just like kind of a magical moment, right? In a way, because like people are interested. They're like, like I've seen it. Like, is it really worth it? Like, and so I think it was just like, I'm sure you just felt so inspired because like, yeah, like I want to comment on this, and I'm a fan of Paul's content or whatever, right? And so I'm sure that had a, like, I don't know. I mean, maybe you could speak a little bit about that inspiration, because yeah, there's something kind of unique about that video. I noticed that. I mean, it's not like I mean, who knows? Maybe the algorithm like could have kicked in with other videos, and maybe they would have been just as popular, right? Who knows? But yeah, I don't know. Well, like maybe you could speak a little bit about the inspiration behind like
the Prime video.
Yeah.
Basically, KSI, Logan Paul. If you guys don't know, they released a drink called Prime back in January, and they're 2 very popular YouTubers. I'm like, yo, this could get a lot of views, and it's just me sharing my thoughts about the drink. So I bought it as soon as I could, released the video, and it was funny because we were actually on our way to winter camp, and I checked the stats. Wow, it's like 2,000 views, 3,000 views, and then later on we were like, oh, like 10,000 views in one day, like a 24-hour time period, and it was just really cool to see just the traction that happened. And before that video was uploaded, I had like 296 subs, and then now it's 786, which is really astonishing. Hopefully I can get to 1,000, but as of lately, like, I haven't really been feeling like any new inspiration like we were talking about.
Right.
Yeah, I just like, I don't want to just post out filler.
Yeah.
But
I think the thing is, like, I feel the same way too, because I mean, maybe it's just a mindset thing. Okay, let me give you an example. So I know a lot of like YouTubers, for instance, and they'll pump stuff out on the daily, and it may not even be like great content necessarily. It's just like they're just posting stuff, right? And like, I've listened to YouTubers that more or less say the same thing every day, but like it just gets, so much traction, But I think for me, like, yeah, I think I'm probably the same way as you, Caleb, in that, like, I don't want to just like post stuff to post stuff, or like, I don't know, create content just because like I want to build consistency with my audience or something. Like there definitely is, there definitely is some wisdom in terms of like sort of being productive with whatever your craft may be, right? But like, yeah, I think for me personally, like, I would rather create something that I find to be really impactful, or potentially impactful, or I feel very inspired by, as opposed to just like creating stuff just because like I feel like I need to regularly do that, I guess. So maybe that's another part of inspiration, is like, it's okay if you don't always like, create stuff like that is, I don't know, like on the regular, on a daily basis and stuff. It's, just my perspective. But yeah, in terms of inspiration, I mean, I think God's wired us in very unique ways, right? Some things are very inspiring to me, and maybe they are not as inspiring, to someone else. But I think whatever that is, I think it's something worth exploring. Like what has God uniquely designed you for? Because, I mean, He could have just made us like a bunch of NPCs, just like all those. Yeah, you've seen that meme, right? Where they all look like the same. He could have just made us like a bunch of like video game characters that are just the same, right? But what's so crazy is like how incredibly different each one of us is. I mean, even if you get into like personality types of people and stuff, like it's so deep in terms of like the variation amongst people, right? So yeah, I think for me it's it's like how did God individually make you? Like, He made you for a certain time and season. You're here for a reason at this time. Like, you could have been in another century, if you will, if God wanted to make you be in that century. I'm glad we're in this one. This one's pretty cool. But like, I think God made you for a purpose and gave you this time and season to live, and He made you a certain way specifically. And I think He made you with certain strings that are different, like, violin strings are different than the piano strings, different than a bass. It's like what tugs at your heartstrings is maybe specifically different for each person. However, like, all of us together, here you go, the metaphor, like form an orchestral sound when we're all kind of working together for God's glory, right? So I think for you, it's just like, so for instance, like sometimes I make video content. Do I make great video content? Not necessarily. Does Caleb make really good content? Yes, absolutely.
To each his own.
What's crazy is like Caleb has a specific gifting where like I can tell him to make something, and then like he'll just like run with it and add like color to it and life to it and like really good music. And yeah, Caleb just has a knack for that, but like for me, like I'll just make video because I feel like I have to, in a way, just to like get a point across, but it's not by any means my gifting. But like, there are other things that I could find really inspiring, for me to participate in, like, speaking to an audience, or I guess in this case, writing, which I found is something that I actually like to do, which is so weird because if you told me that I would be writing content for people, I would think you're like ridiculous. Like I would never imagine that for myself. But anyway, yeah, I think for each one of us, like God has made you a particular way. And I think ultimately you probably have a good idea so far of like what inspires you, like what are things you really like to do and live for. And like the Bible says, like whether you eat or drink, basically like to do all these things for the glory of God. And yeah, what are the things that God gave you? Like what are your gifts and talents? And just, I don't know, just like take a chance, like just start, There's so many things like I wish I started, like even 10 years ago or earlier, I don't know. But like, dude, what I appreciate, Caleb, is like, you already realized like you like to make videos, like you're good at it, you make like good content, it's interesting, but like you started even when you're a teenager, or maybe younger, right?
Yeah.
But see, I know you kind of like cringe a little bit, right?
Hoverboard review back in like 2016.
I think I saw that video.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
I think I saw that one. But it's interesting is like I'm super excited that you tried it though. It's like you got to start somewhere, right? I think sometimes we're so afraid to try because we're afraid to fail, and I think that has a lot to do with like just like the pressure of success is fear of failure, and it's like you've probably heard this a million times, or I don't know, maybe not, but it's like people saying, well, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take or whatever, right? And so it's sort of this idea of like, there are missed opportunities if we don't just take a shot. And so they'll, like Wayne Gretzky, hockey player, Michael Jordan, basketball player, and they'll reference that quote, right? But I think for each one of us, like, yeah, I mean, what if there is untapped potential in you that you're just not aware of? Like, what if like God made you in a particular way that you're not even aware of remotely? Like, honestly, I remember when I was like a teenager, about 20 or something, and I remember thinking, I think I remember distinctly thinking this in the hallway, where it was like about the idea of public speaking or whatever. And I just thought it was such a ridiculous idea to have me like be a public speaker. Because actually I was a really bad public speaker in high school when I was on debate team. But it's so interesting how God can totally like morph and shape and show you like things that you're really designed for, And I just encourage you guys just to be open to however God has made you. And to be honest, guys, like, I try to harp on this, but like God's a really good God. Like he's a good father. And like, there's so many instances I can think of where like God gives us things we like, things that we're interested in, right? But he gives us opportunity to do those things and we can enjoy them, like people that get to do photography for a living. It's like, that's their hobby. They would do it anyway, but the fact that they get paid for it is awesome, right? Musician, or it could be many things, right? So I just encourage you, like, just you guys to find what inspires you, find how God has made you, and be open to having people like validate, like, yeah, I see that in you, man. Like or woman, or like I see that in you. I see that gifting. I can, It's so interesting. I remember like a couple times I've tested with, I don't know if you've ever tried this, but like tested it like, oh yeah, I made that video or tried that thing or whatever, and then and you're kind of like, well, I hope they validate me or whatever.
Facts,
yeah.
facts.
But then they're like, oh man, that was good, and then you're like, oh yeah, okay, all right, now I believe, like I believe in myself.
And then there's like, use me as a dislike button.
Oh.
Thankfully, like, I haven't gotten feedback like that or like
Okay.
criticism like that, but
Right.
yeah.
That's funny. But anyway, yeah. So we're almost coming up on a whole hour. Oh
See,
my gosh.
I think we can reach it
Okay.
if you're down.
Dude, I honestly felt inspired by this. So I know I was talking a lot, but I was just like, man, I gotta say this to you guys because you guys can do it. I really
It's
believe.
facts.
I believe your generation is a very special generation. It has so much enormous potential. And I say this because I actually believe that my generation had a lot of potential too, but I don't think we'll reach its potential as a generation. I think there's a lot wrong with my generation, like any generation.
Yeah.
But I think in particular there are a number of things I think particularly wrong with mine. But your guys, I think is actually a really amazing generation that is how do I put it this way? So here's what's something interesting, guys, is this may sound weird to you, but apparently in I think it's sociological studies or something, I think the generation that actually Gen Z connects most with is, believe it or not millennials, believe it or not Gen Xers, but actually boomers, baby boomers. Yeah. Can you think of like a baby boomer, maybe someone that you've like connected with?
Not at the moment. No.
Okay. No, I'm just curious. Sorry to put you on the spot. I didn't mean.
Oh my god. Nah.
Yeah, because the reason why I asked is because apparently, baby boomers experience something very similar to Gen Z in terms of a giant cultural shift. So like baby boomers, think of like the crazy 60s, right? Like that whole crazy season where like there was sexual revolution and heavy drug use and the hippie stuff. There's enormous cultural shift, right?
Yeah.
And what's so interesting is like Gen Z, basically you guys are experiencing a crazy culture shift to that same degree, if you will, that the boomers did. And so what's interesting is actually a lot of like Gen Z Christians connect really well with baby boomer Christians. So who knows? Yeah, maybe there are some baby boomers that you could find a lot of kinship with, a lot of friendship with. Yeah, I just encourage you guys because you guys are under such like a crazy cultural shift. But what's so crazy is like out of the 60s era and that, this something maybe you're not familiar with, but like, so where you went to school, Calvary Chapel, is like where something big happened called the Jesus Movement. The Jesus Movement was arguably a pretty big revival during our country's history, and it strangely enough happened right at Calvary Chapel, right down here, right? And it started with like a lot of Christian music, and Chuck Smith was like prominent preaching, but they planted like, I don't even know how many Calvary Chapel churches. It must be like 1,300 or something huge. It's a lot. It's a lot of churches, right? And so, long story short, it was with that generation of people. It was that generation of more kind of like the older version of Gen Z, and I really believe God used that generation to completely flip like the course of history, really in our country, especially culturally, just how Christianity just really got revamped, and to be honest, you guys, like as someone in an older generation, like I have been pretty dismayed and disappointed. I think there are certain seasons where I was like really stoked about like how Christianity was engaging with the culture. Like when I was in college, I mean, I would argue, I don't know how well this has been documented. I mean, some people call this the Young, Restless, and Reformed movement. And that has to do with like John Piper, who is a part of Converge, the denomination. he's a pastor in Minnesota. He's retired now, but he sort of started this, in a sense, another movement. And it was of Reformed theology, which has a lot to do with John Calvin. This would take another hour to explain, but anyway, you're like, okay, how much time we got? But anyway, so like, I saw like a lot of cool stuff happen during that time, and yeah, because you were probably only less than 10, right? Maybe in the like late. Let's see, how about like in 2008? How old were you?
5.
Oh my gosh, you were 5, huh?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you were born in 2003.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, so you're probably too young to see what was happening then was like, it wasn't just like really great preaching that was happening, but it was like there was like a really good music, like really good musical worship, really good Christian rap. There's so much good stuff, like all at once. It was really good, and then it sort of petered out, and so I've been like, yeah, just hungering and aching for God to like do something, to yeah, just, I don't know what the words are, but in a sense, I guess, bring revival to our country. I'm sure a lot of you guys are kind of like, what the heck's going on with our country? It's like falling apart. And yeah, it is in so many ways. But yeah, how do you feel as like a young person looking at our country right now? Like, do you feel like kind of negative or pessimistic, or like?
Yeah, like I feel like I'm more pessimistic than optimistic.
Pessimistic. I talk to so many young people like your age, pretty much your age too, and they're like, yeah, this country's screwed or whatever, right? Yeah. And so they'll say like that, and yeah, I kind of feel that way in a sense too. So that's like why I feel so inspired, like for you guys, just like there's so much potential. It's just a matter of harnessing it, and I just I just want you guys to be able to live out your potential in ways that I wasn't able to, or that other people in my generation were not willing to, because they're two different things, right? Because sometimes you could be willing to live out your potential in how God made you, but maybe you're inhibited by it, or you just don't care to live out your potential and you just are content, But like, I think like for a lot of people in my generation, especially like spiritually speaking, I have so many millennial age friends that just like completely got the short end of the stick with regards to churches. Like I have a bunch of horror stories of my friends, like of being unfairly fired or mistreated, or it's just like, it's like, come on, like we had so much potential, and like just so many things kind of got ruined in a way. And so like, I don't want to see like that happen to you guys. Like I want you guys to be able to live out your God-given potential. And there'll be bumps along the way. There'll be some bad purchases, maybe with the use of your money or whatever. And, guess what? Like, welcome to the club. But yeah, like my whole thing is for you guys just to be able to live out your potential in ways that I didn't, that I either willingly didn't or I was prevented from living out my potential. And you guys have a lot of potential. Like, you got a ton of potential, Caleb. I see it. And, you're a great leader. I appreciate you. You're a great young man. You're a great example. And, for you guys out there too, like, just know that like you have an enormous amount of potential, and you only see the tip of the iceberg. And I don't just say that because like I'm a pastor and like pastors are supposed to say like encouraging and inspiring things or whatever. But like, I really believe that. I really believe like you, at this moment of you like listening to us, just on the podcast, like there's so much you guys, I don't think at this moment like realize how much potential you have. But you can unlock it, with God's help, of course, and in community. So yeah, keep walking with the Lord, keep hanging out with Christians, and I think you'll get there. Yeah.
Dude, it's been an hour, 4 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
Sheesh.
Yeah, dude, I thank you for listening. For some of those long rants.
That was great.
I apologize if I was ranting. I was just like, man, you guys got this. You got so much potential, just you got to live it out.
Yeah, and like I definitely appreciate being a leader in training. it's been quite the experience just mentoring these children
Mm-hmm.
very close to my age and just seeing them develop over these months. And yeah, just thank you for the opportunity. It's been very rewarding.
Yeah, you're doing a great job, man. So keep at it, and we will continue with, or hopefully, like when school's done, you can swing by our house. Yeah, we're doing some
mentorship.
How to listen well. Yeah, good leaders. Hey, FYI out there, you guys who are leaders.
If you're still here,
listening. Yeah, if you're still listening.
Hey, do we have a keyword, by the way?
I don't know. Do we? I don't know. You can come up with one, maybe. Good leaders listen well. That's all I've got to say.
Good leaders listen well. Comment that down below. But
yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
And hopefully next time we can get Colin Kim back.
That'd be fun.
Hopefully. Oh, really quick. Down in the comments, just let us know if you like this format. If you want to see like a mixture of this or like with the car too, because like the lighting's really good, but
the lighting's good, but maybe the car is better.
Maybe the car's better. Maybe you guys like it better. Like it's more casual, just like relaxed.
Did you ever see that one podcast? It's like Steve-O. He's like he's the guy that like hurts himself all the time. They like changed a car to be like a studio.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Hey, so yeah. Okay.
Indeed. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you guys. You guys are awesome. Appreciate if you've been hearing us. And Pash Potato.
Thank you. Dank money down below. Subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff.
Okay. We'll see you guys.
It's Pastor David, everyone.
Love and peace. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.